Welcome to the Horse Talk Show. Have you ever seen a horse who could talk? With your host, Louisa Barton, who really wants to be a famous rider. She really loves to ride fast. Presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care.
Truth is, I have horses with people problems.
Now here's the Brit on the bit, Louisa Barton. Enjoy the show.
Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Thank you for joining us on the Horse Talk Show presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
I'm Louisa Barton.
I'm Dancing Pete Rhoda.
Thank you for tuning in. We have a great lineup for you.
Woo-hoo.
Yes, we do. We have an exciting lineup, don't we?
We've got lots of ears on this one.
Oh, you're so funny. We do have a tip of the week from Dr. Faith Hughes, what to do when your horse is colicking. We also have Mule Woman here with us. Vanessa is going to talk about natural horsemanship and mulemanship and tell us great mule stories.
The big ears I was talking about.
Yes. And then in the second half of the show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, we have the latest CEP's Equine Initiative meeting, which was wonderful, our Christmas meeting. And then intro to Andrew, who is the GM of Equine Performance Innovative Center. A little background on him, so you know about who's managing the place. Sort of important. Great lineup. Don't forget, we're on Facebook on Tuesdays. We're on Equus Television several times a day. Every single day. And we're on 97.3 The Sky on Saturday morning if you're listening to the radio. We love you too. We're so glad that you tune in, and we're on multiple podcasts as well all week long. So you can watch or listen or
do both.
Do both. That's right. We do have some news, events and important updates. Larson Hay wants you to know their Merry Christmas store hours. On Christmas Eve, they are open from 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And Christmas Day, they are closed.
Yes, and then they'll be back on Boxing Day. Do you know what Boxing Day is?
The day that everybody puts their boxes out, the day after Christmas Day, so the 26th.
It is the day after Christmas, and Boxing Day in England is actually the day that originally the servants had the day off, and the wealthy people who had servants boxed up all the leftovers and things that they didn't want and leftover food, and the servants could then have their Christmas on Boxing Day. So that's what Boxing Day is, if you didn't know. It's a very British thing.
Okay.
The official veterinarian for HITS, or Horse Shows in the Sun, as it is known, is Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. They are the vet on staff the entire season. And that is none other than very famous Dr. Adam Kayott.
Uh-oh.
Yes. He'll be up at HITS. I think Monday is HITS day off. And so we're going to definitely try to catch him up there throughout his time that he'll be tending to any horses that are in need. And who better than Dr. Adam
So
Kayott?
if you want a good time and some jokes, go to HITS and go find Dr. Kayott.
Yes, I think Isaac and I will definitely have to catch up with him and see what adventures he's up to at HITS. Of course, HITS has been over 40 years in the Marion County area, showing every season, and they have some, they call it the Horseman's Show because it's just an excellent place to go show. What else do we have? Oh, Team Pyranha. They had some serious 2024 NFR National Finals Rodeo qualifiers and some great names, and they had some amazing winners. Shad Mayfield, all-around world champion. National Finals Rodeo was a Pyranha sponsored rider. Riley Webb, tie-down world champion. National Finals Rodeo. Pyranha just know how to pick them. They just pick the winners. So a great team of representatives they had there, and they had a wonderful time. And Louisa is going next year to the NFR.
Have you ever been?
Nope.
It's a blast.
That's what I heard. So I'm going to be there, and it should be a lot of fun. TT Distributors, Horse and Farrier Supplies, wonderful partner of our show for a very long time, are going to appreciate their customers in January, as they always do, but they're going to go big.
January 18th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And that is 7150 West Highway 40. You've probably seen their wonderful store in Ocala, horse capital of the world. They're going to have door prizes, 10% off store-wide. They're going to have raffles, food vendors, and they're going to have all the product reps on site too for their products that they have there in the store. So if you have questions, you'll be able to get some answers to what you buy in there. They truly are an incredible supply center for horse and farrier supplies. And then also on the website, if you're not in the Ocala area, I know we have a lot of national and international listeners, you can order from them online as well. They have a wonderful online services at ttdistributors.com.
Wow.
Good stuff to be appreciated. Speaking of appreciation, I wish I'd worn my hat tonight, and I should have, but I have to do a shout out for Wallace. Wonderful, wonderful hats and belts. And by the way, the belt I have on in a minute. Let's get to the belt in a minute. Costuma com nós. I think I said that right. That is Portuguese for sort of as you like it, like be as you are. That's Wallace. And he was actually at the Equine Initiative event that we were at, and he was such a wonderful guy, and his hats were lovely, and several people bought his hats actually there.
Yes, ma'am.
And then yesterday when I went to pick up the Equine Initiative trailer from the CC Belandi Marchador farm, he was there, and this belt, remember this belt that was broken?
Right.
He fixed it for me.
Wow.
He fixed my belt, and I got a wonderful new hat out of it as well. So I'm excited about that.
How did he fix it?
He unscrewed the back, and he took the whole thing off and got a matching one that matched exactly, replaced it and screwed it back on. See, it's all fixed.
Wow.
I'm so excited. So thank you, Wallace, so much for doing that for me. Thank you for my beautiful new hat. And I got to visit Pyranha yesterday with the trailer. I went by actually to drop off the Pyranha barrels from the Hobby Horse Equestrian Games and the Equine meeting. And I got to visit there with Tom and show off my new hat to him. So,
wow.
Yeah. I was all Pyranha wrapped. I had Pyranha on my shirt. I had Pyranha on my trailer.
Did he give you a patch for your hat?
Should have, shouldn't he?
That's right.
Quick mention, if you're putting up Christmas trees, especially for those of you who have horse barns and like to put Christmas trees up in your horse barn, please be very careful. Refer to Pat Myers Electric for any questions you have about artificial Christmas trees or real Christmas trees, and lighting safety tips that you can get from them on how safe your barn is over the holidays, because the last thing you want to do is have a problem, a fire. And we've talked a lot about fire safety with Pat Myers Electric before, but I think at this time of year, it's probably more crucial than ever, right?
Everybody wants to decorate, and they don't think about the safety.
Yes. See, we're very safe in here. Yes, we're well checked out here with our nice little decoration. So please be aware of that, and just be careful if you have any questions.
You should get a hat for the top of the tree.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
I have a new hat that would look very nice.
That's right.
It might be a little big for this tree, though, don't you think? Do we have any other news and events we need to mention? Or did we get it done? We got them all in already.
We got them in.
That's amazing. We don't usually fit them all in.
Usually we have, okay, we'll have to put it in at the last segment.
Yeah, put it in the end. So I mentioned the lineup to you. I want to talk a little bit before, maybe not. Look at that, there was the Winnie. I just want to let you know that the Equine Initiative information is coming up from last week's Christmas meeting, and you're going to absolutely love it. And the singer that we have on, unusually, in the last segment this week is absolutely phenomenal. So you're going to get 3 minutes of beautiful music if you stay tuned in. So we're coming right back with Dr. Faith Hughes. Stay with us. This portion of the Horse Talk Show is brought to you by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care, our television broadcast sponsor, Larson Hay, Idaho's finest alfalfa, and supporting sponsors, DAC Minerals and Vitamins, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip, Pyranha, Pat Myers Electric, Florida HVAC Services, and Ocala Dog Ranch. This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
Equestrian. It's not just a word but a title. It comes paired with hard work, discipline, and talent. Lipchip is a company built by equestrians to make life at the barn a little easier. Introducing the Hooflink system, powered by Lipchip, where a microchip becomes a secure key to unlock temperature, register for your next event, and keep track of required documents. Simply implant, scan, and unlock. Equestrians, the future is here, and the future is Lipchip.
Nirvana, Ocala's premier medical spa, is leading the way in great skin with all the newest in treatment options, offering prejuvenation for younger clients and rejuvenation for all ages. Nirvana knows you want to look your very best, but we've all seen people with the telltale signs of too much work. We want you to look like you, just better, brighter and younger, with all the newest and best in technology and all in the most beautiful surroundings. Like Nirvana Medical Spa on Facebook and find them on the web at nirvanamedicalspa.com. Become a better, brighter and younger you. The team of professionals at Equifence of Florida specialize in equestrian fencing, offering great communication, quality fencing, and all done in a timely manner. Reliable service with horse safety in mind all the time. Also offering customized residential, vinyl, wood, aluminium, and chain link fences services. Equifence of Florida, quality fencing done right to keep your animals safe. For more information, find Equifence of Florida on Facebook now. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. We're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the second segment of the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
I'm Louisa Barton.
I'm Dancing Pete Rhoda.
And we're going to switch it up right now to Dr. Faith Hughes from Peterson Smith. Here she is.
This is Faith Hughes from Peterson and Smith, and I'm just here with a couple of tips if you think your horse is colicking or you know your horse is colicking. First thing is that when you call your veterinarian, it is helpful if you can tell them what the horse's temperature is and maybe what their horse's heart rate is. So we're going to just real quick, we're going to go how to do that. I have just a digital thermometer here, just like you can buy at Walgreens or CVS. And we're going to go over here to this horse, and hopefully he'll be a good boy about this, but it's not really a very big thing to pass where they pass manure. So usually they're pretty good about it. And we just kind of, sometimes if you scratch the top of their tail, they'll kind of lift up their tail and they'll let us find their little rectum, push the button. Sometimes they like it if you scratch it while you're doing that. Most of them will lift up their tail if you scratch right around the side. You probably can't see that, but he's lifting up his tail for us. It doesn't have to be a big deal. All right, and then it's going to beep and it says it's 98.9, which is great. So it's just a good thing to know, because if your horse has a temperature of over 102, we should be a little concerned.
Dr. Faith Hughes, she is brilliant. Nobody wants to face a colic, and this does tend to be a little bit more of a colicky time of the year, so
especially
be aware.
when we're having winter days and summer days all in the same week.
I know, it's tough, isn't it? We go from freezing cold, like I think it's the only place I've ever been that can change 40 or 50 degrees in a day, and you just think, wow, how did that happen?
I had a post that I posted that said Florida winter, and it had summer, spring, winter, and fall all in the same day.
Yes, you just don't really know what to prepare for. It's like you bring layers every day to work and you're shedding them and then you're adding them, and it's hard if you have horses with blankets on. You've got to go home and take them off because it suddenly got warm. But one thing I do reiterate is I think it's a great time of year to have a salt block, because if you can keep your horses thirsty like they would be in the summer and they're drinking a lot, they're actually going to have a lot less chance of an impaction. And I also saw something else that I thought of the other day, that don't go adding big rolls of hay all of a sudden because your pastures are down. Because if your horses aren't used to a big roll of hay and you suddenly introduce it and they're drinking less, that's when you're likely to have something happen.
Everybody
like
hates
impaction.
coastal. It's not the coastal, it's the lack of water.
That's right. So encourage your horses to drink as much as possible. I kind of want to switch things up a little bit to our recent Chamber Equine Initiative Christmas meeting. I think it was absolutely one of the best that we've had. It was so much fun, and we actually had it at the Marchador farm. If you don't know what a Marchador is, a Mangalaga Marchador is an experience, actually. It really is. It's an experience.
It's the Brazilian horse.
Yes, it's the national horse of Brazil. It is a gaited horse. I think it moves very similarly to a Tennessee Walker, in my opinion. It's not, it's a lot different to me than the gaits of the Pasofino gaited horses that you see. It seems like it has a much longer gait than that to me, and a very, very comfortable horse to ride. As you can see, if you're watching us on Facebook or Equus Television, you can see that Claudia is actually riding bareback just on a blanket, and she is not bouncing around. She is very smooth, as is Felipe on the other horse. And they are really amazing horses to watch in action. Very smooth. They tend to be very friendly and amicable horses. It's just typical of the breed to like people, which is nice. If you go up to the stall door, they come up and want to have a chat. And we just had a wonderful time. I want to thank Claudia and all the sponsors, Equifensa Florida, Dillon Media, and Max Construction, who all helped make this possible so that we could have a Chamber Equine meeting. And Claudia set up everything beautifully with Christmas decorations and just made the place look. That's Dancing Pete Rhoda. If you're not watching, you should be right now, because Dancing Pete Rhoda is on a stick horse.
Doing barrels.
Doing barrels, yes. Pyranha barrels, no less. Those are wrapped too. We do well with all that, don't we? So there's Pete trying to win the stick horse race. But we did stick horse races. We had riding demos. We got to see the Mangalaga Marchador in action, learned a little bit about the breed. And then we had ribbons for those.
And there's Tommy.
There's Tommy the fence turner making his effort to beat Pete at the barrels. Adults doing stick horse games is just so much fun. It really is. And across the finish line for Tommy Turner. Ribbons for our winners, and just overall a great time. And that was even before we started on indoors. Louisa got herself all up in a Christmas costume, because just what Louisa does. And Claudia had some nice glasses for me.
The glasses made it.
They did. Jacinta Vasquez, who is the only jockey to ever beat Secretariat, was there.
With two different horses.
Two different horses, yes. He beat Secretariat with Onion and Angle Light. Two different horses. So he is a world-class, extremely well-known jockey in the Hall of Fame. And, of course, Pat Myers Electric was there, of course. Pat and Sarah have to be there to make sure we were doing our Christmas lights right? We had a really, really, really good time. Everybody had fun. The Brazilian food was...
Very
Tommy Turner brought his family. Very nice. Delina and Chase came, and Betsy and Sergio from Larson Hay were there.
Idaho's finest alfalfa. Or no, I should say Ocala's finest for those two.
That's right. Overall, a wonderful, wonderful event. Claudia had the Wallace there, who was actually a vendor of the wonderful hats and belts and things that people purchase.
And everybody's got their crowns on.
Yes. So Louisa had, I need to bring some of those
Crackers.
next Monday, don't I?
Yes, ma'am.
So crackers, Christmas crackers. Does everybody know what Christmas crackers are?
Probably not.
Did you know before
I know
last week?
I lived in Europe.
Oh, that's right. So you know what Christmas crackers are. So I should have one with me right now so we can pull it. I'll bring one next week. So you pull the cracker, it makes a cracking noise, and then you take out your crown, which you then have to wear.
It's a paper crown.
Yes, it's a paper crown. You have to wear it like royalty. And then it usually has a very tacky joke inside it, usually British humour that Americans sometimes don't get because it might be a word you don't even use here, maybe. And then it also has a tacky little gift in it. Sometimes it's a dice or a or a little chintzy bottle opener or something.
Mine was a piece of green paper that they showed you how to make a Christmas tree if you folded it a certain way.
That's clever.
That's clever.
You know what they have in them a lot? Do you remember those fish that you put on your hand and they turn up whichever way you, depending on whether you're hot or not or whatever?
No, I don't know that
Just saying. Okay, well, it's a fish.
I always had a fish that goes up. I've never had one lay down.
It goes, yeah. There you go. So they have those a lot in them. But overall, it was one of the best. And we did actually have the best live singer I've ever heard in my life. And that's really saying something, because I have heard a lot of live singers in my life. And Joe Castro was, without a doubt, it was one of those situations where, if you've ever watched American Idol or one of those voice shows or whatever, when they say, oh, you know, well, you've got the voice, but you don't have the personality, or you don't have the look, or you don't have the passion,
or don't play the piano because you can't sing and play the piano at the same time.
Yes, one of those things. Well, he had it all. Heart and soul, absolutely, in everything that he did. And he sang way past time. He sang extra songs for us. And
then I found out that he came back after I left, and they sang for some more because they had the guitar out.
Yes.
And all of the guys were playing.
I was actually sitting in talking to Claudia inside the little apartment, and you could hear the four guys, Wallace and the other guys out there singing in Portuguese, and it was loud, it was fun. But they had a great time. So it was definitely one of our best chamber equine meetings. And if you haven't checked out the Mangalaga Marchador as a breed of horse that you might like to either show or trail ride, it certainly is a horse that you should look into and do some Google and research, because Claudia breeds some of the finest Marchadors in the world.
So next year, don't miss out, because it's going to be fun again.
Yeah, it really was. It was great. And if you're interested in this guy that I say is the best live singer I've ever heard, he just is going to happen to sing in the last segment of the show. So isn't that great?
And he's for hire, so you could have it for your party.
That's right. We are coming back after the break, and we will have Mule Woman with us. Very exciting. This portion of the Horse Talk Show is brought to you by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care, our television broadcast sponsor, Larson Hay, Idaho's finest alfalfa, and supporting sponsors, DAC Minerals and Vitamins, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip, Pyranha, Pat Myers Electric, Florida HVAC Services, and Ocala Dog Ranch.
Faulty wiring is the leading cause of barn fires. I'm Pat with Pat Myers Electric. Equine facilities have special electrical needs. The knowledgeable and licensed team of electricians at Pat Myers Electric will ensure that you can achieve your vision for a beautiful, safe, and functional horse facility. From new construction to rewiring and updating, the Pat Myers Electric team is ready to jump in and help keep your horses safe. With a small farm of our own, we truly understand the unique concerns of the horse owner. Don't take chances. For all your current barn needs, go to patmyerselectric.com.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at seminolefeed.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, Piranha.
Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care seeks to be a leading international veterinary practice that provides state-of-the-art veterinary care to their patients while fostering professional relationships with their clients that stand the test of time. For 24/7 and the best in equine care, check out Peterson and Smith at petersonsmith.com or like them on Facebook now for more information. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hey, this is Buck Brannaman. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
I'm Louisa Barton.
I'm Dancing Pete Rhoda.
And we have a special guest in the studio with us, Vanessa Ojeda. Did I do okay?
Yes, you did okay.
Good.
That was great.
Better known as the Mule Woman, especially on social media. I had the honor of actually getting a message from her back before we did the Horse Capital Parade at the Florida Horse Park, and she said, would you mind having a mule in the parade? I said, are you kidding me? Mind having a mule? We'd love to have a mule. Well, it was so busy that day, and we had so much going on with that event that I actually never had a chance to chat to her, but I did see her photos.
But some people did.
I know, some people did.
I did.
Yes. So I reached out to her and said, we'd love to have you on the show, and she said, Pete said that too. So I said, well, then that's perfect, isn't it? So lovely to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here. And I apologize. I don't think I ever did text you after that conversation we had.
It happened.
It does.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because I knew I was going to run you down and find a way to get you in here. So let's talk a little bit about why mules. I love mules. I think they're fantastic. I love big ears. Just a thing.
Well, let's see. That is probably the number one question I get asked is how did I get into working with mules? And I will say I am so thankful I went to college. That is why I got into mules. And it's probably a surprising answer.
It is.
Well, I went to college in New York City. I am from Florida originally, grew up with horses my whole entire life. And I went to New York City for 2 semesters, and I was so miserable. I said, you know what? I'm packing my bags. I'm moving to the mountains of Colorado where no one can find me, and I'm just going to work with horses and do that for a living. And that is where I ran into mule culture kind of on accident. And I said, you know what? I think I'm a big advocate, and I think horses have enough advocates, and I want to be an advocate for mules.
So which mountains did you move to?
The San Juan Mountains. So I was in southern Colorado in a little town called Creed, where I worked as a wrangler at a couple guest ranches out there.
Fun.
Yep, and that's a picture of me on Bella. She's the first mule I ever bought. So after I worked as a wrangler, I actually moved back to Florida. I got my first mule at an auction in Georgia. Just a little PSA, don't do that. If it's your first time buying a mule, do not get your mule cheap at an auction. You might live to regret it. Thankfully, I got pretty lucky. My mule had a really great mind, and it took a few years to really get her settled and out of some bad habits she had. And from there, we moved across the U.S. We traveled. We stopped in Texas. We stopped in New Mexico. And we stopped in Colorado. And I lived out there for a few years, packing and just learning everything I could about starting mules and gentling mules and how to be the best person I could be for my mule.
Wow.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about mulemanship and kind of, I love that word. I think it's great. Tell us a little bit about mulemanship and tell us about some of the very first things that you learned back in the beginning when you first, now you said you were very fortunate you actually ended up with a good mule, even though it was from an auction. But talk a little bit about some of the things that you first noticed working with mules.
So I will say I have to credit a lot of what I know to the late Dr. Robert Miller. He passed away very recently. But
Did you actually work with him?
Oh, I wish I did.
Oh.
But I read a lot of what he wrote. And
I got to meet him and his wife when I was with Pat. So.
Oh, that's amazing. He's for those who might not know, he's a really esteemed veterinarian. He worked out in Conejos Valley, California, and was part of the original movement out there, training mules, and he developed what's called imprint training. And that methodology involves getting your hands on the colt, on your young horse or your young mule, basically from the day they hit the ground. And that makes all the difference in developing a mule, is you want to imprint that mule with a good first impression. You don't want it to be scared of people. That's what's going to develop the mind. And everything that the mule or the horse learns from 0 to 6 months of age and then their weanling and yearling years is going to set them up for success or failure down the road. So mules, more than horses, are skeptics. They have it in their nature. They have that from the donkey dad. And whereas you've probably heard, if you're in the natural horsemanship world, that horses have a fight, flight or freeze response. Well, donkeys and mules have more of the freeze response than they do the reactive flight response. So it's really
interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No.
Because they're mountain animals. So if they flight first, they run off the cliff.
Right.
That's why you pack mules, not horses.
Yep.
Interesting.
And they're a lot more sure-footed too, and they are big energy conservers. So they also get that from the donkey and from where they evolved, or where the donkeys evolved, is in the desert. So they have a much more efficient metabolism. They don't want to expend energy as much as horses do. So you really have to communicate with the mind because you can't move the feet as easily. That's where people get caught up in the trap of saying, oh, this mule, stubborn as a mule, so stubborn. But really, I like to say...
Pete.
Oh, like me.
Sorry,
I'm not going to say anything. So for our listeners that might not know, tell us what a mule is.
So a mule is a hybrid between a donkey and a horse. The mom is the horse that has 64 chromosomes, and the dad is a donkey that has 62 chromosomes. Mules meet in the middle. They have 63 chromosomes. Most of them are not fertile, but there are some cases where they've been used as surrogates.
Really?
Yeah. I think
that's right. Actually, the Gypsy Gold farm was doing mules for the surrogates.
I have heard of that, yes.
Yeah.
And I think it was pioneered at Cornell. CVM is the first to
Yeah,
find
mule
out.
mums at Gypsy Vanna Farm. Yeah, that was cool. Very cool.
I've yet to seen it with my own eyes, so I kind of remain a skeptic just because my mollies have never gone into a heat cycle.
So what's a molly?
Oh, here we go.
No,
Hey, we're learning.
I'm helping the listeners because
Yeah,
a lot of them don't know
absolutely.
that.
So a molly mule is a female mule, and a John mule is a male mule, and a jack.
So Molly is like the Jenny of the donkeys.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got Mollies and Jennies. This is good to know.
Mollies, Jennies, and mares, and then you have Johns and Jacks and geldings. But a jack is a non-castrated John mule, or male mule.
Gosh. I tell you what, they say you learn something new every day. Today's going to be a lot of new things. It's so cool.
Yes, and I will say that it's always pretty urgent to castrate a male mule early on just because they do become very aggressive if they are not castrated. So most male mules you meet will be John mules.
So it's rare for somebody to keep one.
They're just dangerous animals. Yeah, they typically aren't left uncastrated.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay, so onwards with mulemanship, because I'm fascinated. What were some of the very first lessons like for you? Did you have a difficult one at some point?
Yes. Right here, Bella, she is my soul sister, is what I call her. So
Aww.
very first mule who taught me everything about mulemanship. She came with a pretty bad habit of bolting. Mm-hmm. And many people who get their first mule or get involved with mules, they figure out pretty quickly that these animals are a lot stronger than horses are. And unfortunately, a lot of people like to meet that strength with an equal amount of leverage. So if you think some bits that people use on horses are harsh or bad, then you should see what they use on mules. I mean, bicycle chains, 14-inch shanks. It's very, very common, and people just think that they have to meet that amount of strength with an equal amount of leverage. And instead, I say, let's meet that amount of strength with an equal amount of intellect, right? So how can we talk to the mule's mind, and how can we develop them to be soft and willing and figure out what motivates them? Because they don't operate the same way that horses do. They need that extra motivation, and we need to be more creative in finding out what motivates them. So, biggest lesson I learned from my Molly with her bolting problem was...
Hold that thought.
I will hold that thought.
We have less than a minute, and I don't want her to start on such an important topic and then have to stop and go to break. So the good news is that we have her with us for another whole entire segment. So whether you're listening or watching, you're going to learn a lot more about mules and mulemanship.
Oh, sorry.
That's very good.
That was great, Pete. Well done. We'll be right back on the Horse Talk Show. Stay with us. Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa.
This hour of the Horse Talk Show is presented by Palm Chevrolet in Ocala, where the entire team is committed to making your experience in sales and service hassle-free and easier than ever with no games or gimmicks. Come in and visit on Southwest College Road or online at palmchevrolet.com. A second-to-none experience with all the amenities. Palm Chevy, find new roads.
Lipchip is a company built by equestrians to make life at the barn a little easier. Equestrians, the future is here, and the future is Lipchip.
This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. DAC, it makes a world of difference. The Equine Performance and Innovative Center, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centers for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aqua pacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specializing in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com or find them on social media.
Cut through the noise and distinguish your business with a custom vehicle wrap from Smash Wraps. Get noticed with eye-catching vehicle wraps that showcase your brand's identity and earn you more business. If you're looking for a custom-designed vinyl wrap for horse trailers, box trucks, cars, or pickup trucks, for a single fleet vehicle, or for 100, no job is too big for the Smash Wraps team. Make your appointment to set your business apart today. Find us on social media or at smashwraps.com. And remember, don't just wrap it, smash wrap it.
This show is brought to you in part by TT Distributors, dedicated to bringing their customers the largest selection of quality horse supplements, products, and farrier supplies in Florida at affordable prices. Also online at ttdistributors.com.
Welcome back to the Horse Talk Show. Have you ever heard of a horse that can talk? Listen to this. With your host, Louisa Barton. She's literally in love with every horse. Presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. She's back in the saddle again. And now here's your host,
Pretty.
Louisa Barton. She's a Brit, she's got the gift of the gab, and her guests are fab.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. We're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the second half of the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
I'm Louisa Barton.
I'm Dancing Pete Rhoda.
And we are in the studio with Vanessa Ojeda, and she is the Mule Woman, if you know her on social media. Vanessa, we've been talking a little bit. We stopped you because you were about to tell us something, and it was going to be a little bit longer. We didn't want to cut you off, so...
Oh, right. So we were talking about my mule, Bella, and some of her deep-rooted issues she had when I first got her. Again, she was a $800 auction mule. So I didn't really know what I was getting when I got her.
And what age was she when you got her?
Estimated about 10 years old.
Okay.
This was about 5 years ago
so
now.
possibly already had some habits of...
Right.
She had formed
exactly.
elsewhere.
Probably had some pretty ingrained habits by that point. And so... First time I got on her, she threw me off. I thought I broke my shoulder. It was really bad. And I learned pretty quickly she was really unsure about being ridden. And when I would ride her, she would bolt like nothing else. So the biggest lesson this mule has ever taught me is that I'm not necessarily getting taken off with. I'm just riding in a gear that I don't necessarily choose. But the most important thing to do with a mule is to go with it. A lot of these wrecks that we have happen occur because we are bracing against the mule, we're bracing against the horse. They're kicking up into a higher gear than we want them to be in or that we're expecting. But instead of resisting that or meeting that with more force and more leverage, ride with them. If they want to go for a gallop because they don't trust what you're riding them up to, say, you know what, that sounds like a good idea. Let's gallop away and let's come up and reassess the situation. And if you have that mindset when you go into things, you'll find that the mule will start to trust you as a leader more because they'll say, hey, she knows what she's talking about. You know, like she sees that this is probably something I'm uncertain of. And so she's bringing me back to my threshold of confidence and we're going to work on things and then approach it slower instead of pushing through, that's where you'll find yourself in a bad situation with a mule, because you just don't have the strength to meet them where they're at.
Right.
And if you try and resist that, things aren't going to go good for you.
It's a good point. Yeah, it is. And then when you come back up to it, hopefully.
Right, hopefully by then,
that time, the mule has realized that, hey, she knows what's up. She understands I'm afraid.
Right, yes, and they look at you for leadership because of that, and you've probably already done the groundwork, the fundamentals to build their threshold of confidence to where they can look to you for leadership, and they don't have to spook, they don't have to bolt, they don't have to totally blow through all your phases of pressure to avoid the situation that you're putting them into.
So after you got...
They're at the parade.
I know, look at that.
There she is.
So cute. With Santa.
Bella loves Santa.
Having a chat with Santa at the parade. Bella is chatting. You need to definitely watch this. Pete and Santa chatting to Bella the mule. So she would be about
huge.
15 now, right?
Yeah, she's about 15 and
she's big.
About 16 hands, maybe a little bit shy of 16 hands.
It's lovely.
So a giant jack and...
Yeah, so we call them mammoth jacks.
Okay.
Yes.
At that point.
Yes. Lovely. So after Bella, you were hooked.
Oh, I was so hooked. I was sold on mules. And so that's when I moved out to Colorado and I started working for an elk hunting outfitter, because at that point I said, I want to know all about mule culture. I want to learn how to pack. I want to learn about tracking and hunting and just really live it. And this is actually a picture. So backtracking to when I went to college, I studied anthropology. When I moved to New Mexico initially with Bella, it was to conduct research on Picaris Pueblo. It's an indigenous Pueblo up in northern New Mexico, a little bit near Taos. So Bella helped me and my colleagues do some GIS research up there, mapping out acequias and different sacred places on the Pueblo.
So if you're listening, the mule's tail is being held by somebody, and then behind them, the next
There's a row.
person is,
That would be me holding her first.
okay, is holding their backpack, and it goes all the way down, and there's probably about 6 or 7 people.
So they're pack people.
So is she helping everybody make it up the...
She is. So things get pretty steep up there. They're not necessarily the best maintained trails. They're pretty slick. They're pretty muddy, and we were hiking about 8 miles up. And we got to some sketchy points, and Bella was a trooper, and she pulled through, and she helped all of us make our way up the mountain.
That's so incredible.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, is a mule's lifespan similar to a horse's lifespan?
It's a little bit longer.
Okay.
Right, so it'll be a little bit longer because of that hybrid vigor. The donkeys typically live longer than horses, about 40 years or so, and a mule can live well into their 30s.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So then you became kind of the voice of the mule. And that's where Mule Woman, I'm assuming, came from, because you are the voice of the mule now, right?
Right, yes, that's where it comes from. You know, you've heard of horsemanship. I like to say there's also horsewomanship. I know so many wonderful women who are leading ethical and gentle ways of training horses, and so I wanted to make my own mark. There are some, or actually there's a good deal of men in the mulemanship industry, but there aren't many of us women who are leading advocates and voices for mules, and so I thought it would distinguish myself to make it Mule Woman.
I think that's really impressive that you want to do that you see the wonderful traits in the mule, and that you want to promote the mule and also teach others, obviously, which is definitely why we invited you in, so you could share some of this wealth of information. And Pete's going to reach behind him and grab a couple of things for us that we definitely want to give you. I love this. This is lovely.
Oh, thank you.
It's so beautiful. So we have a goodie bag for you.
Oh, that's so
full of Pyranha goodies in here. So lots of little sample bottles in there of all the good things. And then this is special because this is now, this is not a horse brush. That's right. This is not a horse brush. This is now a mule brush.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So on your adventures, wherever you brush your mule, wherever you are, you can tag us with a photograph, and we'll know about all your travels then, you see. And then when your mule is nicely brushed off, we'll know we had a part in that. So I wanted to give those to you before I forgot, because we get busy chatting and sometimes we end up forgetting till after. So we wanted you to have that.
This is so sweet. Thank you. It means I have to brush my mule more than I probably do.
So we love your passion for the mules. Is there anything else that you want people to know about mules?
Oh, let's see. Don't be afraid to get a mule. I think a lot of trainers discourage people from getting mules, and for good reason. You do need to do your research, but I think the mule as a hybrid will benefit from more people doing their due diligence, understanding what differentiates them from horses and donkeys, and more people just owning them and caring about their welfare and caring about them being trained well and trained gently. And I mean, they're such a versatile animal. That's part of what I like to advocate for, too. I mean, you'll see mules in the jumper ring, mule in the dressage ring. I was going to say,
they're so versatile. I've seen them doing all sorts of other sports.
Right. And I think we just need to have more people out there owning mules and showing their mules off and just dedicating their lives to these animals, if that's possible. They truly are just so wonderful, and my life has been totally changed because of them.
And how long have you been since you had your first mule? How long since you got 5 years, right?
About 5 years, yeah, but I've probably had about 20 mules in the last 5 years. I've bought, I've sold, I've ridden, I've trained quite a few.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad we got to meet you, and we would absolutely love to have you back on the show anytime you'd like to tell us more mule adventures. I think it's great.
Yeah. There's the segment right
There's
there.
the segment.
Mule adventures. I'll have to keep you all updated.
Yes,
Definitely.
yeah, we'd love that. Thank you so much, Vanessa, the Mule Woman. You can find her on social media and follow her adventures. She's got some absolutely wonderful videos on there doing all sorts of things with mules. Some of those you've seen if you were watching today. So we hope you enjoyed that. I feel definitely more educated on mules and absolutely loved having her on the show. So we'll be back after this. We have Andrew, the GM of Epic. Stay with us.
Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the show, Palm Chevrolet, and to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Hay. Also, thank you to the supporting sponsors, the Equine Performance and Innovative Center, TT Distributors, Equifence of Florida, the Florida Horse Park, Smash Wraps, Nirvana Medical Spa, Equigreen, JNS Pressure Washing, Horse Vans, and Midnight Rose Equestrian. The team of professionals at Equifence of Florida specialize in equestrian fencing. Equifence of Florida, quality fencing done right to keep your animals safe.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed.
Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, Piranha.
My name is Dr. Natalie Solomon. I formulated Equigreen with cutting-edge science and technology alongside the passion that is represented by a lifelong love of horses. I created a product that I would trust for my horses because they deserve nothing but the best for their bodies. Horses rely on us to take care of them, to love them, to respect them. This is how Equigreen came to life. Equigreen, CBD for your horse that you can trust.
Does your farm need a facelift? Has the harsh Florida climate left your barns, stable doors, and fences stained? JNS Pressure Washing has a professional team who can exceed your expectations and restore your farm to its former glory. Get rid of dust and cobwebs that can cause allergies and health issues for horses, and keep your horses safe by limiting fire hazards in the barn. JNS Pressure Washing can clean your house, your barns, your fences, and your driveway, and you can count on dependable and professional services. For more information, call Steven at 352-502-5355.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
This is Charlotte Cannon, and you are listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
We are switching it up now to Andrew, the GM of Equine Performance Innovative Center. Here he is. Louisa Barton here for the Horse Talk Show and the CEP's Equine Initiative. And we are at the Equine Performance Innovative Center with the General Manager, Andrew Vanlangendonck. And hopefully I got the name right.
Perfect. Perfect pronunciation.
Andrew, it's lovely to be with you.
Thank you.
We've chatted before about Derby and Breeders' Cup contenders. Now we're in a little bit of a different spot here. But for people who don't know your background,
We'd like to learn a bit about you. I know combat veteran, GN here, second generation horseman, family that's been in the racing world for a very long time and been very successful. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, Louisa, well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. My experience with horses, obviously, as you stated, extends back to before I was born. I was apparently going to races and thoroughbred sales when still in utero. So it's the only thing I've ever known. It was very unique childhood, I'd say. You meet a lot of people that say they grew up with horses and been around horses all their life, but mine was even more so unique. It was
sales prep at 11.
Yeah, sales prep, and yeah, starting having to turn out sales prep yearlings at 11 years old. So things like that, mucking stalls. I don't even know what age I was. I remember being on the back of a muck wagon, probably a story and a half high of straw muck, pushing it off while my brother drives it. For like neighbors' cows to eat, and I must have been 8 years old then. So this has been a lifelong thing for me. I've never really known anything else from my childhood. So it's a very unique thing. I grew up on 80 acres here in Ocala, Florida. It was a husbandry farm and sales prep farm for the most part. When I was younger, we had stallions that we would breed, but that was long gone before before I got involved, and I was too young. For a little bit, my dad was the general manager of Silver Springs Farm, Silver Leaf Farm. It's been that long. Silver Leaf, which is now called Padua, down in Summerfield, Florida. So I just went from one 80-acre farm to whatever Silverleaf was, 2,000-acre farm. And I can't think of a single moment without horses in it. Not a horse, not two horses, but hundreds of horses with it. So and that would extend into my, I believe I had to start working full summer vacation. Summer vacations weren't that fun for me. I had to work 6 days a week like a normal groom, mucking stalls, grooming horses. I had to start at the back of a pitchfork.
Explains where your fantastic work ethic came from, though.
Yeah, my dad quote unquote, drilled that into my head would be the best way to probably describe that. But very hard work ethic and this need for honesty, and it is what it is that came extended from my father. So more, it was such a indoctrinating childhood into horses that that was the big motivator to join the military, because it was easier. That's true. I joined it because it was easier, and it was a lot of fun. So
well, thank you for your service.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. But I would have to do we would do sales prep of yearlings, but that would even before that we did the breeding. Foaling, I would have to night watch when I was in high school until about 11 o'clock at night, sometimes at 12 o'clock at night, go to bed, wake up, go to school the next day, kind of a situation. I had to wait for the night watch to get there. That started at midnight. Foaling mares, I remember my dad waking me up at one point, I was less than 15, in my teens, but it'd be early teens, to help him pull a foal that was hip locked in a mare out. And obviously I wasn't that strong, but it was more pressure. It was additional poundage pressure to pull out of the mare, and we got it out. So it was just a lot of things that I would have gained in experience even before I was fully in puberty. So it was very 1950s childhood, essentially. It was, as a child, it was like I slightly would resent it a little bit. Just to be honest on it, because how many kids have to work, from 7 a.m. till 4:30 in the afternoon, 6 days a week on summer vacation. Now I'm greatly appreciative of it because of the knowledge and experience that I can bring to the table of wherever I'm at, which I bring now here to Epic. Which can also help our practitioners and such that have medical training and all that knowledge from schooling and stuff like that. However, putting it into practice, I may have better ways to kind of show them how to deal with an animal, or to get them to stand there better, or just to calm them, which makes the actual medical procedure a lot easier to deal with.
So horsemanship skills that really work well, especially in here where you're doing rehab and conditioning, maybe on horses that have some sort of injury, that are uncomfortable, and you can recognize that and also then help on the horsemanship side to make that horse more at ease and more comfortable through whatever that rehab or conditioning or treatment might be.
Absolutely, yeah, and being able to read the horse and what they're feeling or what's maybe agitating them, upsetting them, in my opinion, is like learning an entirely new language. And as someone that's been from, an infant to now being just completely immersed in horses, like hundreds of horses at a time, it's something that I just learned growing up. So it's kind of learning in a bilingual household, and you can speak both languages. So for me, reading a horse is fairly easy. where comparatively so to someone else, they may not grasp the full picture of what the horse is feeling or wanting and what is going to help them relax more for whatever you want them to do, kind of a thing. So it's certainly a unique ability that I've really enjoy now, type of thing. So, but in my end of high school was when I joined. I did decide to take a break of it. I was kind of like, I'm tired of doing this every day, day in, day out, and there was no excuses with my father or my mother of wanting to take days off or be a goofy, stupid teenager. So I decided to join the Air Force. So I joined, they didn't even know, I don't believe, until maybe like a month prior to me shipping out for boot camp. So, and that was a very unique career field as well, or a unique career as well. So I've kind of had two unique careers. So I joined the Air Force, and I was an airfield manager, and I went to South Dakota was my first base. That one wasn't that fun, but I was only there for about a year and a half, and then after that I deployed and spent my time overseas and in combat zones. And then after that, when I got back from my deployment, I immediately I in-processed the base for my deployment, and then right after they signed the paperwork for in-processing, I handed them paperwork for out-processing, and I was shipped back overseas to Japan. And I was in Tokyo for 2 years, which was phenomenal. It's by far my favorite base. If anybody needs to go traveling, go to Tokyo. It's a wonderful country. Japan, good racing too. So that was something that I really enjoyed. I was there for the 2011 9.0 earthquake, which was, I was actually the operations supervisor for the airfield that day, which was one of my favorite experiences in the Air Force, not so much as being in the 9.0 earthquake, but what followed after that kind of a situation. So that was a very, very wonderful experience for me to see on what it takes for teams, because we had the Air Force come out, pararescuemen digging through houses. We had the Army come out bringing and dropping some medical supplies, Air Force dropping medical supplies, and just offering rescue and humanitarian services to the people of Japan. So as well as their own, not so to say military, I don't believe they have a quote unquote military, but their volunteer services helping. So to have all of those collective groups come together and in very short period of time and just help an entire country, because the earthquake was so big, it moved Japan 8 feet towards China. And it tilted the earth off its axis by 6 inches.
That's scary.
That's how big it was.
You've had a very, very extensive background, that work ethic, obviously horse background, a great experience in the Air Force, all of that to reinforce really everything that happens here at Equine Performance and Innovative Center is fantastic support. So as clients, folks that come here know the kind of support that they're actually getting for the veterinarians who are here treating the horses. Andrew, it's lovely to hear so much about you, and there's some things I learned I didn't know, as well as you've helped Hall of Famers with Breeders' Cup and Derby contenders as well. So lots and lots of experience for everything here, really.
Yeah, I love this place. Dr. Roulan is such an innovative doctor and likes forward thinking. That's what I am all about. Even if I find a process that I like and I think it's perfect, I can't help it but going, what can I do to make this even better? And that's the exact same alignment that Dr. Roulan has. So he and I both are completely aligned with that. So it's been a really kind of a dream team where we mesh together, and we actually don't have to speak very much to know what each other wants. So it's been a very, very wonderful opportunity, and he and I are going to do great things together in the future.
That's fantastic. That's what makes it epic. Equine Performance Innovative Center in the horse capital of the world. Here with Andrew, the GM, Louisa Barton for the Horse Talk Show, and the CEP's Equine Initiative.
Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the show, Palm Chevrolet, and to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Hay. Also, thank you to the supporting sponsors, the Equine Performance and Innovative Center, TT Distributors, Equifence of Florida, the Florida Horse Park, Smash Wraps, Nirvana Medical Spa, Equigreen, JNS Pressure Washing, Horse Vans, and Midnight Rose Equestrian. Ocala Dog Ranch offers a variety of services for your dog, including agility training, barn hunt training, board and train, boarding long and short term, daycare, day training, dock diving training and competitions, disc dog, swimming lessons and pool rentals, lure coursing and obedience training classes. Check out Ocala Dog Ranch at ocaladogranch.com. Ocala Dog Ranch is your home away from home for your dog and more.
This show was brought to you in part by TT Distributors, also online at ttdistributors.com.
Cut through the noise and distinguish your business with a custom vehicle wrap from Smash Wraps. And remember, don't just wrap it, smash wrap it.
Epic equine veterinarians specializing in rehab and conditioning.
This hour of the Horse Talk Show is presented by Palm Chevrolet in Ocala. Palm Chevy, find new roads.
Equigreen, CBD for your horse that you can trust.
Nirvana, Ocala's premier medical spa, is leading the way in great skin with all the newest in treatment options. Become a better, brighter, and younger you.
The Pat Myers Electric team is ready to jump in and help keep your horses safe. For all your current barn needs, go to patmyerselectric.com.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the final segment of the Horse Talk Show for this week, presented by Palm Chevrolet.
Your hometown Chevy experience.
Thank you to Larson Farms, they're our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
We are going to switch it up to some dogmanship. And a little tip here from Neil Hennessy from Ocala Dog Ranch.
The Horse Talk Show goes to the dogs at Ocala Dog Ranch.
Neil Hennessy, the owner of Ocala Dog Ranch. It's going to be the holidays soon. Thanksgiving, Christmas, the New Year. House is going to be full of people having fun, eating, drinking. Maybe the dog doesn't want to be there. So maybe this is the time to consider boarding your dog to get the dog out of the house so that they can have a little peace and quiet. I mean, we all love our dogs and we all think everybody that's in our family love our dogs. Maybe they don't. It's not fair for your dog to be cooped up into the bedroom while everybody else is out having fun. Get him into a boarding situation where they can have a little daycare play. And remember, don't let grandma feed him from the table. We don't need the dog eating human food. So have a happy holidays wherever you are. And this is Neil Hennessy, the owner of Ocala Dog Ranch.
So if you're traveling a lot for the holidays, as many people do, that is a wonderful alternative for your dogs to go to Ocala Dog Ranch and have fun and play. And I'm sure you can take their Christmas presents with them. And I'm sure Neil will make sure they get them for sure. We are going to take it to Dancing Pete Roden now from Complementary Horsemanship and his Horsemanship Tip of the Week.
Dancing Pete's Tip of the Week, brought to you by Complementary Horsemanship. This tip is sponsored by WildlifeWorksLLC.com for your unwanted wild critters removal.
Did you do that on purpose? I love that. Sponsored by Wildlife Works. If you have critters that you don't want, that shouldn't be around your farm and horses, Wildlife Works are the people to talk to. And actually, I need to call Corinne myself because I have something digging holes in my yard. Yes. Pete.
So the tip of the week I came up with because we listened to Joe sing. And I was sitting there going, that's really amazing. So I said, I'm going to come up with a tip of the week to introduce him singing. So when I came up with it, I went, oh, well, that's Ray Hunt's Put Your Heart in Your Hand and Rub Your Horse with Your Heart. So what I came up with was horses want you to have that feeling. You might not be saying the words exactly on what they can understand, but if you have the right feeling inside, you're going to get them to start looking to see if they can do it. And even though you're not saying it correctly. So when I was listening to Joe sing in Portuguese, I didn't know the words, but the feeling. We were over there with goosebumps and crying and like, this is a beautiful song. We hope it's about something beautiful and sad.
I can't imagine Joe writing a song himself that's not beautiful, because he just exudes that whole peace, harmony, and happiness in everything he does. And I think that's what makes him such a great singer. I mean, he has a beautiful voice, but aside from that, I think what makes him so special is that you can see his heart and soul in his song.
And that's what I always say, as being Dancing Pete, I always tell people that can really play from their heart, you can hear it in their music and from their voice. That's why I go out there on the dance floor to recognize that and say, hey, you're really moving me to want to dance. And that's how I dance. That's how I do my horsemanship, everything, or teachermanship. is from my heart. It's not about the money. It's not about all what I can get done. It's about the student. It's about putting it out there. So here we go. We're going to listen to this beautiful song.
Here's Joe Castro, and he is rentable. He's rentable. Here he is.
Vem e vão, e com ela solidão. Lua, onde está? Traz ela de volta pra iluminar o meu coração. Pois amores não podem viver longe assim. Alguém por Deus traz de volta ela pra mim. Nunca vi tanto assim. Esse amor não tem fim. Acredito, foi Deus quem te trouxe pra mim. Já parei pra pensar, é difícil aceitar, mas você não entende meu jeito de amar. Onde vem e vão, e com ela a solidão. Onde está? Traz ela de volta pra iluminar meu coração. Dois amores não podem viver longe assim. Alguém por Deus traz de volta ela pra mim. Nunca vi tanto assim. Esse amor não tem fim. Acredito, foi Deus quem te trouxe pra mim. Já parei pra pensar, é difícil aceitar, mas você não entende meu jeito de amar. Nunca vi tanto assim. Esse amor não tem fim. Acredito, foi Deus quem te trouxe pra mim. Já parei pra pensar, é difícil aceitar, mas você não entende meu jeito de amar.
Look at him, heart and soul. He wrote that song. I don't know Portuguese. I wish I did. Pete was reading us the words while he was playing. I'm going to tell you, if you have a party, a wedding, a Christmas function coming up.
And he sings in English and does American songs.
Yes, he does.
Popular songs.
He does. We would air them, but we can't, so we didn't. But he did sing a lot of songs we know, and honestly, he sang them at least as well as the artist who actually sings that song. So.
And then switched it to Portuguese, and that was neat too.
Pete was laughing with him, having him go back and forth from Portuguese to English, and he did it absolutely flowed from one to the other. It was incredible. And you can hire him out for an event, and he is actually going to be regularly at Claudia's doing some of these events with her. But he's from Orlando, so not very far away. He'll come up for your event. He's very reasonably priced,
Actually,
in my opinion.
The villages, he lives close to the villages, so
Yes,
he's not
that's
that far away.
So if you're going to have any kind of event, he is absolutely the guy to call. If you want to message us, we can get you in touch with him. And I was absolutely blown away, because in those shows that you see where they're judging people based on their voice, he has an incredible voice. But some of the times you hear them say, oh, he's missing the feeling, or missing the heart and soul, or missing the smile, or missing the energy.
He should be playing the piano while he's singing, or playing guitar. He was doing
He does it all.
Yeah.
And his energy when he's singing and the passion that he puts into every single word he sings is there, and you can see it, and it actually exudes from him, and it makes you feel like, whew. And that's hard to get. You can get a singer that's a good singer, is missing some other pieces, but amazing man. So we are definitely going to be sharing the show with him later on to let him know that he was on and we were blown away. So thank you, Joe. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Vanessa, Mule Woman, for being with us. We learned a lot about mules tonight, and I'm impressed. Makes me want one. It's a good thing I don't have room.
Oh, gosh.
Whether you're in Ocala, Marion County, the horse capital of the world, or not, happy horsing around. Until next time.
See ya.